Hey, welcome on in. It is Monday, August 18th. We are 12 days away from the start of the 2025 Michigan football season. Anthony Broom here with Clayton Safety, Chris Ballas of the Wolverine for a weekly Monday night show. A lot to get to this week. We have some breaking injury news to discuss. We'll tie up some of the NCAA versus Michigan stuff as well as we can for now. Just quick thoughts on that. And then to close out our show, we will take your questions as we do every week. We have a lot from the fort. I'm sure we will get a lot in the live chat. But fellas, welcome back in.
Good to be here. And it was nice seeing those trophies, guys, those championship trophies in Schembechler Hall today. They're behind me. You can't see them. But, man, what a beautiful sight.
Yes, absolutely. And get your super chats in. Get yourself to the front of the line. If you got a question, we'll get to you right away.
All right, we are brought to you tonight, of course, by our friends over at Homefield Apparel. With football season underway, you're going to need to re-outfit yourself. You got 12 days now. You're running out of time. You're going to need all the new fits for your closet. I'm looking at the 2025 Michigan Platinum Football Box right now, which comes with a hat, a T-shirt, long sleeve, heavyweight hoodie, socks, and a Platinum Pass, which will give you 20% off all 2025 season new releases and a priority customer support line over at homefieldapparel.com. That's one of many items they have in the Michigan collection. You're also looking at hats. There's plenty of long sleeves. There's heavyweight T-shirts. There's the lighter, breathable T-shirts. It's all there. We've been singing their praises for years. They're a great partner to us. We are excited to be partnered with them for the 2025 football season. So head on over to homefieldapparel.com today. They are our exclusive partner here on Monday nights here at the Wolverines. So go support them, support us as well, and put some money in pockets of some good people who have really built this thing brick by brick in the heart of Big Ten country down in Indianapolis. Let's head on over to homefieldapparel.com. We'll start today with the big injury news of the day. You guys were both at Schembechler Hall this afternoon talking to coaches. While that was going on, reports emerged, first reported by Matt Zenitz of CBS Sports. Freshman offensive tackle Andrew Babalola is feared to have suffered a season-ending knee injury. We don't know at this point what the severity of that is, what the timeline might look like, but Andrew Babalola, a guy who's a five-star freshman, who's the number 16 overall player in the 2025 class, the other five-star recruit that Michigan football signed during this cycle, was battling with Evan Link for the left tackle job. And it seems like Link has done his part throughout camp to hold him off. But, fellas, this is a blue chip piece and a freshman that if he didn't start right away, a lot of people thought he was going to play a lot, if not start at some point this season. So it's a big blow.
Yeah, in fact, a source close to the program that I talked to on Friday, I think it was, and we just put up an article probably literally half an hour before that about how well he was playing and how he was pushing, and that he couldn't guarantee that Evan Link would hold on to that starting left tackle job because Babalola had been so good. So disappointing, but you know what? Here's the thing. Blake Frazier finally came back. As our source said, he's 100% now, and he's battling at left tackle. He's battling at right tackle. So the hope is that with him healthy now, he can kind of make up for it. But Babalola is going to be a special player. And the fact that he's not going to get time this year really sucks because I think he earned it. And I asked specifically, too, is he going to be one of the extra ones in the jumbo packages, the Goliath packages, as they call some of them? And they said very good possibility that he was going to be that guy, but obviously now he won't. So really stinks, but I'll say this. I have no question in our interactions with Andrew Babalola, what kind of a kid he is, what kind of a worker he is, that he's going to come back healthy and strong and be a huge factor next year.
There I am muted, talking to nobody, talking to myself. The way they were talking about him, I figured he would get time right away this season, even at left tackle, maybe rotate in a little bit and could win the job, at some point during the season at left tackle. And he, at the very least, he was pushing Evan Link, competing there. So it's tough to see. This stuff happens, though, and that's one of the reasons why you need depth. You need competition on the offensive line. And at the very least, he did his part in pushing other guys and being that guy during fall camp, and then going down with an unfortunate injury. You feel terrible for him, obviously. And the other thing is, for the future, he doesn't have this year to develop in practice and get all those reps in, because those are really valuable reps for offensive linemen too. One of the reasons why a lot of them get good and earn roles as they go along in their college careers is because of the work they put in when no one's watching, behind the scenes, when people kind of forget about you for a year or two. And I think Babalola, again, was going to play right away, maybe on a more accelerated timeline than a lot of offensive linemen. But either way, the work he was going to put in practice would be just as valuable for the future. But now he'll have to kind of do some other things mentally, learn defense, learn offense, continue to learn the playbook, those sorts of things. But I'm sure he'll do everything he can, but it is tough. And, tackle was a big question mark for Michigan already. You have less depth there now. Blake Frazier, kind of a swing tackle, probably has to, be your backup left tackle. He has no experience either. So it's going to be tough.
It's a blow for sure, both for Michigan and for his long-term development. And that's not to say that his career is over. By no means are we saying that at all. But, he's a guy that, when you bring in these 5-star type of guys, and a lot of those guys have the tools right away. He seemed like the whole package, though, like a playable, college-ready offensive lineman, whether he was in the 2 deep or he was a starter. And the only way for guys like some of those guys come in with all the tools in the world, but need the mental reps. I think he's a guy who, obviously mental reps help, but the only way he's going to get better and reach his potential is by playing game snaps. So you table that for a year, it looks like, without knowing the specifics of the injury or the timeline. You'd have to think if it's a season ender, that probably means spring ball is off the table too, or at least he's on the rehab circuit when that's coming, or we'll see if he's ready for fall camp next year. But a lot of those details still kind of out there for him. Evan Link is likely this team's left tackle now, which, there are 2 ways you can go with this. One, you can be excited for that, given that, he has been the favorite throughout camp. The coaching staff has been singing his praises throughout camp thus far. There's been some skepticism about his ability to hold. He had trouble holding up on the right side. So naturally, you move over to the left, where blind side of the quarterback, edge rushers on that side, maybe a little more athletic. There are questions there, but Sherrone Moore said last week, Evans played tremendously better. His confidence is where he needed to be. Left tackle is a constant battle. So you would think that Blake Frazier, he's the guy we've heard most, is that next guy up in the mix, pushing at both tackle spots. Sherrone Moore, coaching staff, has said he's also pushed Andrew Sprague at right tackle. So he's probably that next guy up. And, when you talk about who else moves up a rung or 2 on the ladder, probably means a guy like Ty Haywood is the guy they put a little more of a premium on, maybe getting ready to play at some point. Brady Norton, in case of emergency, though, he's been getting most of his work at guard, and he's gotten some work at center as well. So, everyone else moves up a rung on the ladder. But, when you have a guy, something that's so exciting about the idea that they're going to start Bryce Underwood at quarterback this year is that, you're a young guy, and there are going to be some lumps that you take. But, through those lumps comes a big payoff, big reward, maybe as early as this season. That's not there for him now. And it does, to me, it caps the potential of the offensive line a little bit.
Yeah, probably. And Ty Haywood's not ready. Speaking to our source on Friday, said that he's got a ways to go. He's got to start winning some more one-on-ones. He says he's a huge dude, but he has got to really pick it up. So, it's a blow to the depth. And who knows, maybe he could have been a starter. And by the end of the year, that Ohio State game, maybe he's, one of your better linemen. So, but, I hate to say this, every team has injuries and every program has injuries. Every program feels snake bit at least 1 year, right? When you have 3 or 4 guys, and it's like, man, but that's just part of the deal. This is a violent sport. We got some idiot over here in comments saying karma coming for Michigan. This is just the first domino. Go back to your hole. This is a kid who suffered a knee injury, you loser. And this has nothing to do with anything but just really bad luck for the kid.
Yeah, no doubt. And now you have basically no tackles with experience. I mean, I'm looking at and like you mentioned, Anthony, you have Brady Norton, who can play tackle and has played tackle in college, but maybe not cut out for it or his ideal position in the Big Ten at Michigan, but you have Connor Jones, who's never started a game, Brooks Barr, Evan Link is the only one with starting experience in terms of being a full-time starter. Brady Norton's there. Just mention him. Blake Frazier hasn't played in a game. Ben Roebuck, I don't believe, has played. Andrew Sprague has played a little bit, started one game last year at right tackle, and he will be your starting right tackle if things hold. And then you have the two freshmen that you brought in, Andrew Babalola, who's injured, and Ty Haywood, who's not ready. So, it's a pretty dicey situation. I think the interior of this line can still be pretty strong, and I think Sprague can be good, and I think Evan Link could be improved for sure. But there's just a lot of unknowns out there. Not that Babalola was a known as to what he's going to be as a freshman, but it just limits your options.
Yeah, it does. And it's disappointing. But again, and there are still question marks about this line with or without him, like you said, Clay, because there just aren't a lot of proven there. So one less guy in the mix, and that is disappointing.
And Chris, to your point about the injuries and this happens, this is what you prepare for on the offensive line. It's why Sherrone Moore talks about wanting to have 10 guys, and Chip Lindsey said, you need 3 tackles and 3 guards, 2 centers, that sort of thing. That's probably on the low end of what you may need. We saw, multiple years here in the last few on some of them, Michigan having really good lines where they had to use, 6, 7, 8 starters. So it's why you recruit a lot of them. It's hard to hang on to them now. I mean, look at Notre Dame last year. They had guys that started in the CFP run to the championship game. And then since they were maybe not going to start this year, they go elsewhere. The Rocco Spindler goes to Nebraska. Pat Coogan goes to Indiana. Guys that started in the national championship game. It's hard to build that depth on the O-line. Other teams are going to experience this. But it's just one of those unique challenges right now where you can go wherever you want and start if you have an opportunity to. So you don't have as much depth. Michigan had guys that started games last year leave the program after last season. Andrew Gentry was a starting right tackle. Jeff Percy has made starts at tackle as well.
Yeah, Steve Morrison had asked in the chat. It was just on the screen for a bit there. Horrible news for Babalola. Can he get a medical redshirt plus a redshirt, or does a medical redshirt count as a redshirt? Yeah, if he doesn't play, this is a redshirt season for him. Now, 5-star guy, probably that will be something that comes up later on if his college career goes into a 4th or 5th season.
Right. Well, he's saying medical and plus a red shirt. He's not going to be here for 5 years. So I don't think that's anything even. That's not even on the table. So most likely he's going to be now a 4-year guy here. If he played this year and had been the starter, hell, he could have been a 3-year guy here if he was really good. But, that's to be determined. We haven't seen him play in a game yet. Last year, as my source told me, Evan Link had a great camp and had great weeks of practice, and it didn't really translate to the games. So now they're confident that it will, but you don't know. So I will say that, yeah, I do think that Babalola will be a 3 or 4-year guy now. And so I don't think that's relevant.
But you can get a medical and a regular red shirt.
Yes.
Like just
and he still could be a 3-year guy. I mean, he comes back healthy next year, plays well, and has a great junior year. Like that's,
right.
5-star lineman with the type of skills that he has. That's still coveted at the next level. He's got to play well though. So all options still on the table. We had a $2 super chat here. While we're on the topic of injuries, do you guys know if Hogan Hansen is out for the season?
He's not. In fact, it was said today by Steve Kasula, and we said in one of our Inside the Forts a couple of weeks ago that he was ahead of schedule, that he had hoped to play early in the year. When I talked to Chip Lindsey in the early summer, he actually mentioned 4 tight ends and not Hogan Hansen. We knew that he had been hurt, but we have confirmed that he did undergo a procedure. So, but he's out there practicing to the extent that he can. I don't think he's banging out there and blocking and stuff like that, but he's catching passes. He's doing pretty well. I expect to see him in September. Steve Kasula would not give us a firm timetable, but he did say he's out there doing things that he can do. So, and it's important that they have him. He's really obviously a good player. I think he's their best pass catcher at tight end, although they did have really good things to say about Deacon Tonelli today, which I thought was exciting.
Clayton's guy.
Yeah, I know. I was excited to hear that too. And yeah, we've heard good things about him in practices in the past. I'm excited to see if he gets a shot, what Tonelli can do in games. But Steve Kasula said today it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So I guess we'll see in that respect. But yeah, if they could get him back for Nebraska, that being Hogan Hansen, that would be huge. And obviously aiming for September for him. But Steve Kasula also said today, and this is no real surprise, but Hogan Hansen and Deacon Tonelli are the two players that are athletically the most similar to Colston Loveland. And we kind of saw a little bit of that last year with Hansen. He was quite raw, maybe not fully developed, put together in terms of his strength and things like that. But you can see he had a little extra juice to him. And I'll continue to say that Deacon Tonelli, that catch he had in last year's spring game, that catch and run, he's got a little juice to him too. Look out for what is he, for number 43? Look out.
Number 43, love it. It's a fullback's number. I guess we'll move to that since we're here right now. You guys were in the building today for both Steve Casula and Brian Jean-Marie. Seems like there wasn't much groundbreaking to come from that, but feel free to share those takeaways here right now.
Well, that's the big one. I thought he talked about the depth at tight end, and I loved hearing it. So it was interesting that he didn't put Marlon Klein in any category other than best blocker at the line of attack, I think he said, And
I was just thinking about that before we came on writing some stuff.
Yeah, because, we've heard in the past that, if there's the more athletic guy in the room than – let's see, then Colston Loveland last year, it's Marlon Klein was right there with him. So, but regardless, Marlon Klein will have a role on this team. Deacon Tonelli, if he does everything he's supposed to do off the field, guys, then he could be really, really good on the field. And I think he's matured a lot is one of the things that we've heard and ready to take that next step. So that was exciting. Also exciting to hear Casula say, now I can trust Zach Marshall too. I trust him out there. When those guys throw words around like that, it's like, okay, they had a lot to prove, but they're getting there. And those are two young guys that I think are really going to add to the success of that room this year. So love that. With Brian, talking about the linebackers, I've said it since the beginning of the year. This is as deep as a group as I can remember. I remember them trying to piece guys together, and keep guys healthy. Remember when Junior Colson was just gassed guys a few years ago because he had to play so many snaps? That's not going to be the case this year. These guys are fantastic. Behind the starters, Jimmy Rolder is a third starter. They said that he had the best practice, best scrimmage on Saturday of any of the linebackers. And we all know what they think of Cole Sullivan because we keep hearing about him. So, but Jayshawn Barham is an absolute freak. Ernie Hausman is just a steady Eddie. So this is a really, really good group. And when you've got a defensive line as good as this one is, and you are playing to your strength, which Wink Martindale, Michigan's defensive coordinator, says is the linebackers, that bodes pretty well.
Yeah, and I guess a couple of things for me, sticking with Jayshawn Barham there for a second. They mentioned like how much more comfortable he is in the system now. And I think we saw that towards the end of last season as well. But his eyes are better. He's reading his keys faster. It's allowing him to play faster overall. And then Brian Jean-Marie said, when he shows up, he's got bad intentions. Like when he shows up, he's in the right place at the right time. There's maybe no one else in college football, if he's at the right place at the right time, that is more adept at making a play, in a certain situation. Jayshawn Barham is huge, but also incredibly fast, not just for his size, but he's just really fast in general. That's going to be somebody who I'm looking at as a potential breakout player this year for Michigan. I know he started every game last year, but I think he's got another level he can take his game to. And BJM said he has taken his game to that level. And same with Ernest Hausman. And thinking about it, these two assistant coaches may have the two deepest position groups on the team. Tight end, not as much proven. Linebacker, both your starters are back, but they both seem to feel really good about their depth. And just to put a bow on it, when you were talking about, Chris, some of the superlatives, I guess, that Steve Casula was saying, he said, guy on the ball, lining up on the line of scrimmage, blocking skills. Marlon Klein is the best. Lining up off the ball, no surprise. That'd be Max Bredesen in terms of his blocking skills. Hands and pass catching skills, Tonelli and Hansen. Red zone ability, Zach Marshall, Tonelli, and Hansen. So, yeah, Marlon Klein's going to be out there more than any of those guys. And he has some skills in the pass game too, but they definitely have a bunch of guys with different skill sets that are kind of unique, which is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you guys know that I've been buying the Marlon Klein, Luke Schoonmaker comparison. I think he's going to have a big year this year. A big year being doubling his catches, having a couple touchdowns. I still think that if Hogan Hansen is healthy, that's probably your 1A, 1B, similar to running back. But they got a lot of good pieces in that room. I think it's so interesting with Cole Sullivan at linebacker because we probably don't hear more hype on any linebacker, when we talk to people. And yet he's linebacker 4 probably. You've got those two starting guys. You've got Jimmy Rolder. super excited to see him on the field because I think that from a skill set and an archetype standpoint, probably brings a lot of the same things that Jayshon Barham does in terms of, hey, he can play traditional linebacker. He can drop back into coverage a little bit. He's a guy that can rush the passer. You know, there was a mailbag I did today. Someone asked about getting him on the field at edge. I don't think that's going to happen, but there's a lot of things you can do with that guy. And, you know, maybe he's deployed a little more under the radar this year, but I think next year he's, you know, one of your starters. And if Rolder comes back for a 5th year, he's probably a starter as well. So that position group in very good hands. Anything else from the coaches on Monday?
No, we got a super chat over here though.
We do, from Daniel Schutz. I hope I said that right, Daniel. It says, any chance Lindsey makes us a finesse offense?
No.
I'll let you guys take that first.
No, and in fact, I think Kasula said that in this presser. I think it was him that said, we're going to run the ball. And he said, or was it BJM, Clay?
I think it was BJM. He said, yeah, they got the passing attack, but we're still Michigan. We're going to, you know, pound the rock.
Right, exactly. And he said, you know what? He said, we're going to, and look at Omari and Hampton last year, 1,500 yards. I think he had 1,400 the year before. They're going to run the ball. They understand that they've got great backs. They just need to be explosive in the passing game so that they don't get stuck. And something that Fred Jackson told me in the offseason, Michigan's analyst, he said, you know, we're not going to be, if you've got 11 guys at the line of scrimmage and you're daring us to run the ball, we're probably going to throw the ball and score on you under Chip Lindsey. He said, we are not going to bang our heads into a wall. So that's something that Lloyd Carr offenses did at times, and they did it successfully because they had Mike Hart out there who could get 3 yards no matter what, right? So, but I'm not concerned about that at all. And there's no question in my mind that he understands. And when he was interviewed by Sherrone Moore, who watched Chip Lindsey's offenses at North Carolina, he understands that he is 100% about the run too. And so this is not going to become air raid or anything like that. Nothing to worry about, Daniel, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think Jordan Marshall said it a couple of weeks ago. It kind of has stuck with me ever since. He said Chip Lindsey is fired up because he's never been on a team that's this physical before. Like, this was exciting from both standpoints. If you're Chip Lindsey, you're entering somewhere where, you know, you're a guy that is known for having high-powered passing attacks, although, as you mentioned, he still has had really good rushing attacks as well. But you get to blend that in with a team that's already really physical. And Sherrone Moore has proven, you know, and you know, has kind of continued what they did under Jim Harbaugh, that he's going to have physical teams. They're going to run practice, you know, in a way that's very conducive to having a physical football team. And then the other side of it is, like, Michigan was lacking, you know, the high-powered passing attack. I would argue a lot of that had to do with personnel last year, but Chip Lindsey brings that. And you already have intact, you know, a guy that you can bang your head against the wall with, Jordan Marshall. We saw them do it against Alabama over and over. He just continued to, you know, land some body blows and then broke some longer runs as the game went on, and was really their only offense the entire game. You know, once Davis Warren goes down, you know, the only passing play that I really remember is the one when Alex Orji drops back and throws it right to an Alabama defender. So you can already piece things together with the structure they have now. Chip Lindsey, the goal for him is to take it to the next level.
Yep, and your average fan over there makes a good point. 1,000 rushing yards doesn't mean not finesse necessarily. Judkins and Henderson had 1,000 last year, still a finesse offense. But I can promise you, without giving away state secrets here, that they've got jumbo packages. They are still intent on running the ball first and imposing their will, so that by the time the fourth quarter gets there, teams are gassed and worn down. So it'll just be a little bit more diverse, your average fan. But that is a very good point.
No, but Ohio State proved with their play calling last year that they're not finesse. So thank you for running the ball.
Yeah, they tried to out physical Michigan, and
Mason Graham.
How that game went. Yeah. Mason Graham said otherwise.
Great game plan. We hope you bring it out again.
You know, and this is just how fans are. I feel like when you break down a hire like Chip Lindsey and you say, oh, well, he's, you know, they're going to take more shots down the field. They're going to get the backs involved in the passing game. And a lot of people's heads that clicks to, wow, we're going to throw the ball more. Or if the coaches come out and say, no, we still want to be like a ground-based attack, they say, oh, Michigan's never going to throw the ball. They're going to run it 50 times a game. The truth has always been somewhere in the middle of that. And I think something, you look back to that 2023 team, and make no mistake about it, I'm not making a comparison. I don't think this offense is going to be nearly as good, nearly as dynamic as that group was. But that was a team that when you looked at the box scores and you looked at how they played, it looked like a very meat and potatoes, old school Michigan type of offense. But when you watch the games and you watch the film, they're throwing a lot of stuff at you from similar formations. They're giving you a lot of different looks. There's misdirections. There's manipulating numbers in your advantage. And Chip Lindsey's the type of guy where if when you've been around as long as he has, if you're going to put 9 guys in the box, 10 guys in the box, whether you think Michigan has this bevy of pass catchers or not, he's going to find a way with the quarterback that he is going to have to make plays off of that. So I still believe that like Sherrone Moore is still very, he's cut from the Jim Harbaugh tree. They want to be physical. They want to dominate the line of scrimmage. And if you can do that, you can run pretty much whatever you need to run. And how he marries that with how creatively Lindsey has gotten his offenses to be explosive over the years in a number of ways too. 2 years ago was with Drake May. Last year was with Amari and Hampton. He's got a history of just getting every single drop out of whatever the best version of that team is going to be. If it's a ground and pound team, that's going to be what he gets every drop out of. If it's a team that has a future first round pick at quarterback, like a Drake May, they're going to be dynamic in the passing game. So, don't look at box scores when you determine finesse versus not finesse. Ultimately, Michigan will determine that by how good its offensive line is over the next few years. But I totally believe that this guy's the right guy for the job, and they're gonna throw a lot, even with a freshman quarterback out there. I think they're gonna throw a lot at these opposing defenses.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. And one of the things when I asked him specifically how much are they going to run Bryce Underwood, and he wouldn't give away the state secrets either, but he did say what he really likes is that they are keeping their eyes up when they are scrambling too and making plays downfield. That's an area that hasn't been good enough in recent years. I can remember a few off the top of my head. JJ McCarthy in the Rose Bowl to Kalel Mullings, right when he escapes the pocket and then finds Kalel. There are other times, but I think that's going to be a strength here, and I do think you're going to see Bryce Underwood run a little bit more than I think some people expect him to. He's just too valuable as a dual threat guy. So Kasula did say today they would pick their spots with him, if it's a key point in the game. So I think we're going to see more of him, but I do think the passing game is going to be a ton better. I don't think there's any question. Obviously, it's going to be Bryce Underwood under center, and excited, guys. I can't believe we're only 12 days away. This is crazy.
Yeah, and I know I'm pumped. And a huge reason why Chip Lindsey is going to be able to throw the ball more and be more explosive and, all these terms and buzzwords and everything we hear is because he has better players than Michigan had last season. I mean, Bryce Underwood, it just like no matter him being a freshman, I know he turns 18 years old tomorrow. He's very young. He doesn't have any experience in college. What he can do physically, like with what's going to be around him in terms of good running backs and, should be a decent run game, all these things, and having at least okay weapons, it's going to be better than what they did last season. How many wins is it going to translate into? Are they going to look closer to what they did against USC, or are they going to look closer to what they did, against Ohio State and Alabama towards the end of the season? Because that was kind of a different, type of team in different type of games, even though they were all close quality wins. We'll see, but it will be better. I can guarantee that. I can guarantee you they will have a passing play of 40+ yards, maybe in the first game. How long do we think it's going to take? I don't know. Probably non-conference play. They'll have at least one.
I bet
it'll be refreshing. What's that?
I would dial up the flea flicker first play game one.
And hopefully you don't even need a flea flicker.
No, not a flea flicker. Just go out there and throw a legit 40-yard pass, and it'll happen in the first game. In fact, if there's a prop bet out there, Clay, I know you young guys are all into that. Count me in. I'll give you $5 and you can bet for me.
I love it. Who's making that catch?
Donovan McCulley is the obvious one, right? So gotta tell you, Anthony Simpson, hearing some pretty good things there though too. So it's funny. There are a few options. We'll see. I have to see it to believe it, right? With a passing game, and but I think McCulley is really, I think it's clear that the hype is real with him. He's not the next David Terrell, but he's going to be really, really good. So it's up to the other guys to compliment him.
All right, we have a super chat here. I'm going to use it to transition into what our next topic was going to be before the Q&A. Just a quick refresher, quick hit on the NCAA stuff. Ramez Herrick, and Clayton, I want you to take this one because we talked about this in the reaction show on Friday. He says, is it true that the fine will hinder us in the transfer portal? Clayton, it's not true, and tell us why.
Yeah, the house settlement, the $20.5 million you get this year, I think it goes up next year. And will continue to go up in the following years. That cannot be touched because that's in the house settlement. So, yeah, you could argue, that money's still coming from the athletic department, and you're going to stretch them thin by fining them $30 million or whatever ends up being, because looks like they're appealing, so it could be less. It could trickle down to that, but they're going to use their full 20.5. They're going to have money in NIL. It's not going to affect really Michigan's ability to compete in recruiting, compete in player retention. And there's no ban, there's no vacation. Like, the program should operate as is.
Yeah, exactly. Not worried about it. So, and I will say that I think there's a pretty good chance that they get that fine reduced dramatically. And they feel very confident about their chances in appeal. And I thought the language they used in the appeal was strong. So they aren't happy. It's funny. They aren't happy, and neither are the rivals that are pissed off that they didn't get their trophies taken away and everything else, and vacated wins and no postseason ban. So, but Michigan feels like there's overreach here. You're going to see that. You're going to see some. I firmly believe that Michigan's got a good shot here on appeal to lessen that fine.
I'm sorry, but since when have like rival fans or other fan base? I know that gets referred to all the time. Since when have they ever mattered when it comes to these NCAA? Like, who cared what Kansas State fans thought when Kansas got quote unquote punished for, paying players, and North Carolina had fake classes, and it's never mattered more. It seems like maybe we're just too close to it. It's never mattered more what other fan bases think of something that they didn't read throughout really what the details are. They don't know what the rules are. And I don't blame them either. I don't pay attention to cases for the NCAA that closely for other schools either. So that part of it, to me, it's kind of hilarious to see, and you kind of got to just drown out the discourse on all of that. And I think like you're right. I mean, it seems like it wasn't that harsh of a punishment. It was what you're hearing from all these other fan bases that aren't educated on the case.
And
it seems pretty damn harsh to me because what you sent a friend to a game to film something that's already in public or something like that. It's really not that severe.
No, and I think really, again, the lack of compliance here. Jim Harbaugh saying, "Screw you, I'm not talking to you," and Connor Stallion saying he threw his laptop and his phone to the bottom of a pond somewhere.
Yeah, it's in at the bottom of a river in Secaucus.
Bottom of a river in Secaucus, next to all the bodies. So, but I think that's really more of what they were pissed off about. So, but it was interesting when I think it was the head of the COI committee, and he says, well, they had a front row seat to see the offense and the defense up close. I'm like, yeah, so did everybody else in the stadium. And, you could probably get half of the signs off of the All 22. And it's stupid. The whole thing's stupid. But, hey, here we are, and we're moving past it. So when there's more to write about, people over here are asking about the rat and stuff like that. I can promise you that there are Michigan people looking into it to see where the ties are and why this witness, who they said was not credible for some things that he made up, but he's credible for other things. That doesn't make any sense. So I think that'll be part of Michigan's argument as well.
And they already said Stallions wasn't credible because of different, things that he did or said throughout the process. So they threw out what he said about some other areas of this investigation. So why not do it for, I don't know, someone else that's named in there anonymously?
Right. And it says to me, Go Blue 982 with a $20. Thank you very much for the super chat. No question to me, NCAA cares not about cheating, rather they wanted to punish the vocal ringleader of Revenue Push. I think a lot of people feel that. I don't think there's any question about it. They were on him when he got here about satellite camps, they pushing back and everything. And so, yeah, they were happy to get him out of college football. That was their big win. I think there are a lot of fans of other schools that would say the same thing, right? And it's funny what a non-issue this is to schools down south. And, they're all kind of laughing. Oh, this thing's still going. You talk to people in Alabama, Auburn, You go down to Florida and they're like, I thought this thing ended 2 years ago when Michigan won the national championship fair and square, as NCAA president Charlie Baker said. So it's pretty funny that this is only an issue, and they're going to be coping with this for a long, long time, guys. It's going to be in their nightmares.
One of the other narratives that I found pretty funny, and I did write about it, I included it in the piece I did over the weekend, was the idea that, oh, well, every fan base now knows it's tainted and you'll never have the respect of an opposing fan base for your title ever again. And first off, you shouldn't care about that.
Right.
I don't care about that. And like, for me, take Michigan out of it. Do you think I'm remembering Green Bay Packers teams that won the Super Bowl and going, gosh, oh, golly, gosh darn it, that was a good team and good on you guys, respect? No, I hate their guts. I don't care that they won. I hated their guts anyways. Chicago Blackhawks, Stanley Cups, hate their guts, don't care. That was going to be the case no matter what. So that's a little disingenuous to me, but I don't know. Any other thoughts on I know Clayton and I did just the quick podcast on Friday, but I did want to address this too. This is a question from JC, because I saw this on social media over the weekend. Complete horse crap, by the way. Did Mike Hart strongly oppose the sign stealing, and did that contribute to him leaving? There seems to be some people out there suggesting that he was the rat, and there's no evidence of that at all.
No, and we know, when it says student athlete one as one of the whistleblowers, Mike Hart wasn't a student athlete. They said they corroborated some stuff. No, I don't think that was Mike Hart. It had nothing to do with him leaving. That was a personal issue that caused him to leave, and he was out of college football last year. So I think that tells you everything that you need to know. But he's in a good place, and no, all this talk, I think it's a deflection by some too on who this whistleblower really is, and I do think that will see the light of day. We know it took a while to connect the dots, right? You're going like, oh, it's this guy, is it this guy? And but we have a really good idea, and so do a lot of other people. And so again, it'll be fascinating to see if they can find the evidence needed that somebody writes about this. It's not going to be us. We're too close to it. I've said that. It's got to be somebody in the national media to disseminate this, because I don't want any part of this anymore. I'm so sick of all this crap, guys. I want to write football. I want to talk about this team, and I'm just feel very glad that Team 144 didn't have their accomplishments stripped. Not that that was ever going to happen, as we wrote from day one. I'm just happy that they can put this behind them, and there are not going to be any postseason bans or anything. We can just go forward. Yeah,
I'm just trying to get the 3-tech blocked. So
right, exactly.
I was just trying to figure out who the left tackle is now, or who the right guard is for that matter. Yep. More questions on this. We'll just keep rolling along with it, and then we'll just start our Q&A now. Go Blue asks, can Michigan lift their 2-game suspension of more this season? That was self-imposed, so no.
Remember, there were reports after we reported that there was going to be a 2-game suspension right along with ESPN, and people were saying, that's not true. That's not true. I was getting lit up in my DMs even on Facebook from people saying, oh, this guy at 24/7 or something said that wasn't true, but it was true. Michigan did self-impose for Central and Nebraska. I think that's a win. Not necessarily Nebraska, but Oklahoma. It's a win for Sherrone Moore, because he definitely wanted to coach in that game at his alma mater. So he will miss Central Michigan. He'll miss Nebraska. Matt Rule needs to be the latest to lose to an interim coach with his big mouth. I think that'll be kind of fun if Michigan goes down there and beats them and loses to an interim coach. That'd be great.
Yeah. It's kind of funny that the third game they added on is just randomly in 2026, the season opener. Western Michigan could be in Frankfurt, Germany. But yeah, weeks 3 and 4. That's a win, because those, for whatever reason, right? I mean, a lot of it probably had to do with Sherrone Moore's alma mater and all this. For whatever reason, Michigan wanted weeks 3 and 4. Michigan got weeks 3 and 4.
Yep. Daniel over here says, I don't think he was a student athlete. I know what he's talking about, but student athlete 1 was actually a football player on the team.
Yeah. Week 3 against CMU, which I think things are about to get very bad up there. I'll just leave it at that. Some of the stuff that's come out, and something that I've heard might come out this week. Maybe we'll talk about that off platform. Let's move into some football questions. We have a lot of great ones on the message board today. One of our first comments was, you're a brave soul, sir, for taking questions. I feel like 98% of them will be NCAA related. And to the board's credit, most of them are not. So we'll move into those right now. We will go to Jacob Sherba, our buddy. He says, you mentioned in one of your articles last week that Jake Guarnera was pushing Crippen in practice for center reps. Is this a case of Guarnera performing well and, quote, iron sharpening iron, or more of a Crippen, Jadis back and forth at a similarly average level like last year? And he said, he did say similar question and concern for Lincoln Babalola, but obviously today's development renders that part of the question not as relevant.
It's a fair question, number one, but you have to have somebody taking reps. What if it were Crippen that went down, for example? Then you're screwed if you don't have anybody taking reps. So Guarnera, they like him. He's also pushing at right guard, but Crippen has established himself to the point that they trust him. I'm still skeptical on how good he can be or how good he will be. I asked again, this was in our article today, is he Andrew Vistardis or is he more Drake Nugent or Olu Oluwatimi? And he said he's between them. He's better than Vistardis. Vistardis was limited in what he could do, but he was really smart. Crippen's got the reps. He said he's somewhere in between there. He thinks he can be a plus guy, especially since he's added 15 pounds, and he needed it. As he was talking about going against Trey Williams, he said, man, that guy is a load. He said, I needed to be bigger so that I couldn't get pushed back. There were times, guys, a couple of years ago that Drake Nugent was getting pushed back quite a bit at center. So you need that guy in there that can be that fire plug. And I think that Crippen will have a solid year. I don't know how good. I don't think he's an all Big Ten guy, but I definitely think he's better than Guarnera. And I think this is not a case of him and Jadis all over again.
Yeah, I think he's going to start. I think Guarnera got a mention there. He's also, like you said, pushing at guard. So they clearly think pretty highly of him. And I thought that was indicated last year by him making travel rosters right away as a true freshman. They clearly see something in him. He'll be good down the road. He might be your starting center next year as a junior. But yeah, I think it'll be Greg Crippen. It's kind of interesting, like not to, go back and like evaluate the entire 2021 offensive line, but Andrew Vistardis was the center on a Joe Moore award-winning offensive line. But a lot of that had to do with kind of what was next to him, what was around him, how that group worked so well together. And he was a huge piece in that because he's the guy in the middle and great communicator, unbelievably smart. I think he's in med school or was. So he had his own kind of skill set. But yeah, Crippen can be better than that. The question is, how good can this entire line be together? 5 is 1. And that's a big question. I mean, it wasn't very good last year. And, they have some questions this year, but they do seem more optimistic. We're just going to have to wait and see. And it could develop throughout the year, right? It's not going to be what it is in week 2. You hope it's better. It's not going to be in week 2 what it is in week 10, but you hope it improves throughout the way and you don't have too many injuries or things like that.
I have a 4-part question from Trogdor, so hang with me here for a second. First, he asked, does the Fort have regular tailgates at Michigan games? If so, where is it? I'll be up for the UNM game. Nothing planned as of now. Question 2, if you have the option, and this is, I'll stop after each one here. Are you choosing to receive against New Mexico, or are you going to standard defer to the second half?
Defer. Absolutely. Get the ball in good field position, then go down and score, then do it and break their spirit to start the second half as well. So that's what I do. And then the first part of the question was tailgating. I always tailgate with my folks, my family. I'm going to do that as long as I can. My parents are not spring chickens. I will spend every minute of every tailgate I can with them. It's been a tradition for over 35 years and grateful that we're able to still do it.
My default is always deferring unless you have a great reason to receive. Then I don't see I don't understand why you would receive. I don't think it's going to matter though against New Mexico. So if you do feel like, hey, we want to get the offense out there, we want to get rolling, let's go. Sure, whatever they choose is fine. But typically in a game, I like to defer.
I'd be deferring as well. I think back to last year's opener where it was the first series of the game. They got the pick from Zeke Berry, and then offense is already in scoring position. You score first. That was one of the most electric moments of the year. Night game, lights are on, quick turnover, quick touchdown. That's the recipe there. His third question
was the recipe for that offense. They needed short fields.
They needed that, but hopefully this team is much better than that. Question 3, other than playing well, what do you want to see against New Mexico in the opener to give you confidence for the OU game?
that's such a bad team, right? And there can be such fool's gold in a game like that. So, no injuries, frankly, is the one that comes to mind. I hate to say it. Yeah, you do want to see this a good semblance of a passing game where receivers are getting separation, because there were times last year that they couldn't get separation a lot from against bad teams. So teams pressing them, can they beat press coverage? That's what I'll be looking to see.
Yeah, I think the things you look for in any game are, 1, to win the game, 2, to win by a lot, improve, 3, stay healthy, in any order there, I guess. But number 1 is for sure win the game. So those are the things. Yeah, I agree. I think some sort of electricity in the passing game would be nice. It may not translate against the better opponents, like to whatever extent it shows up in the opener, but a prerequisite to being good in any facet of the game against good teams is being really good at them against bad teams. And we could see that. So there's a lot, typically if you're a good team, you control those games from start to finish. I know they can get a little weird, like Bowling Green, a couple of years ago, where just a weird game overall, and interceptions and all sorts of things, and fumble on a kickoff and all that. But typically, and I heard Luke Fickell talk about this on Big Ten Network with the training camp tour the other day. They have not looked good in some of those games in the past, and they go play someone and get destroyed. And they got Alabama this year. Typically, it does indicate that you're a good team if you control that from start to finish. We even saw some signs against Fresno last year that maybe this team wasn't up to par. So, and that was in a 30-10 win. So yeah, I think there's a lot to dissect in that game. I'm excited for it.
Can we
think for me,
Dave's here over here? Dave, I want to respond to Dave here. Why would a journalist who covers a team possibly be interested in actually reporting on the biggest story to affect the team? Am I right? Dave, 2 things. If it comes from us, even if it's credible, even if we have sources, a lot of people don't pick it up because we're a team site, right? When it's somebody national, if it's Dan Wetzel or somebody like that, then okay, it's going to spread like wildfire. Otherwise, it's like, oh, it's the Wolverine, or it's the a site making things up. They didn't believe us during the Jim Harbaugh story when I remember Colin Cowherd calling us the Kooky Maduki Wolverine.com. The only ones who believe Jim Harbaugh's coming to Michigan is the Kooky Maduki Wolverine.com. Well, even after the fact, it's not like we got the national media was coming out and saying, oh, these guys got it right or something like that. So that's number 1. Number 2. I don't think you understand the extent of the crazy that we deal with rival fan bases when it comes to our families and the threats we get. I had a threatening note it left for me at a road venue a couple of years ago. That was absolutely nuts, because we had an asshole spreading rumors that I said something about Michigan State kids deserving to be shot or something like that. It was absolutely absurd. And he took it down when we said, hey, this is absolutely not accurate, but it didn't matter. It's still out there and people are saying shit like that. So, so that would be pretty much the reasons for that. But I will say this, I have stuff that I've turned over and I've talked about that I will, and if stuff comes out that we need to report, we'll report it. So, and Dave, and you also need to have that full evidence, Dave, so that you don't get sued. But all the journalists who cover Michigan say they know something, but none of you will report it. You have to be damn sure. So otherwise you're going to get sued. So that's where we are. We'll see what comes of it, but I can promise you that people are working on it. Just because things don't happen on the timetable you want them to, Dave, doesn't mean they're not going to happen. So there you go. What's next?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know where to take it from there. You don't want to put any scoops that come off as fan fiction. So
right.
It's pretty much what it is there. Let's turn the page on that. Garbo824 says, do you buy the John Mateer hype going back to last year? I feel like he picked on a lot of Mountain West defenses, and then when he played the Power 4, he came back down to earth. Are we the best defense he will have seen to this point? Emphatically, yes, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting, right? I've seen the numbers against the better teams that he's played, and they're not overwhelming. But he's going to have a better supporting cast, I think, in my opinion, in some ways. So, and he's going to have a better defense to play complementary football with. So, I think that's going to be a lower scoring game, right? Which plays to Michigan's advantage. I am very interested to see what he does against this Michigan defense if they're as good as we think they are. So, I'm excited. I really am. I can't wait to go down there. And I mean, this is blue blood versus blue blood, and finally on their turf, right? This isn't a bowl game or anything. This is a road game in that environment. Can't wait to see it. But I am interested to see how that Michigan defense does against him, and likewise.
Yeah, I think John Mateer is going to be good. He's going to be much improved for Oklahoma. How good is obviously the question here. And Chris, you mentioned it, the numbers against the power conference teams, of which Washington State was not last season. They were part of the Pac-2, the two-pack, the Tupac, however you want to say it. But you had they played Texas Tech. He went 9 of 19 passing. They played Washington, who Michigan also faced, and he went 17 of 34. And then he completed 67.5% of his passes against everybody else. So it's tough to say, as you said, like we haven't seen him with this supporting cast, with this structure being at Oklahoma. So we'll have to see. It is interesting, they are very similar to Michigan in a lot of ways. And one of the ways is they're going to have a new quarterback, new offensive coordinator. And those always sound really good, especially offensive coordinator. They always sound really good in theory. And then the season starts and you don't know, right? It's a work in progress. I think of Garrett Riley, who was at TCU, goes to Clemson a couple of years ago as the offensive coordinator. I think he'd won the Broyles Award or was a finalist, and things didn't really click till year 2. And, Josh Gaddis comes here. He turned out he wasn't that good in general for the long term, but that was certainly a struggle right away. You were kind of shifting what your system was, what your identity was, and they were turning it over. And you never felt like you had a grip on what that offense was until it started to, quote unquote, hit its stride in a 10-3 win over Iowa. So, a long way of saying that we'll see what that offense is. I'm interested to see what Oklahoma looks like week 1 as well. I forget who they play, but it's a pretty easy opponent. But Ben Arbuckle, their new OC, and John Mateer are both coming from Washington State. They have familiarity with each other, having worked together last season. So there's a little more continuity than a typical new OC, new offensive coordinator situation. And if you're saying, well, Michigan has the same thing, I would say absolutely, you're right. But Michigan cannot get any worse on offense than it was last season. So at the very least, they're going to be improved.
They played. See, it's just a picture. I couldn't even tell you that as whatever it is. It's a bye game for them.
Let me look.
So
Illinois State. Yeah.
Illinois State. So, two teams that'll play games in week 1 where they're probably going to be favored by 35. So it's
Is that a noon game? That first game for them? I hope so we can watch it.
That is 6 p.m.
Oh crap! Well, we'll see the first. Yeah, we'll see a little bit of it. Hate night games. Which I know you love them, Clay, but you know what? I'm getting a little too old to be staying up till 4:30 in the morning writing football.
Yeah, they're not making the times for us. They're not making.
I gotta ask. I'm gonna put Clayton Safety on the spot right now. Your number 1 fan, James Strubble, is back in the chat.
Oh, let's go.
I gotta know. I'll be on the spot right now. Your face turns red. Everyone's gonna see it. This is sort of a polygraph test. Do you know this man?
I do not, but I do appreciate.
He said last time he said he loves you, and it was getting a little bit creepy over there. So James,
there's anything wrong with that?
Well, that kind of depends. So James, we're gonna issue a PPO here if you keep it up. So we'll see.
No, we appreciate it. Keep coming back, Clayton.
Yeah.
Clayton's a big draw. We understand that here.
Thank you, James.
We got time for a few more. Let's take this one from. I'll go back to the board for this one because the chat is completely off the rails right now. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just scrolling Venmo real quick. John Mateer Venmo situation, kind of weird, but
I thought you were going to say that James Venmo'd you, or you Venmo'd him for
James. Please Venmo me for sports gambling.
He did with 3 little hearts.
Yeah.
Again, not that there's anything wrong with that.
I'll take it.
Keep your Venmo transactions between you and the payer or you and the buyer. People, come on, let's be smart here.
Sports gambling.
I have to take this one from Black Gandhi on our board, who, of course,
nice.
I can out him, right? This isn't anonymous, right?
No, he outs himself.
Okay. Our friend Isaiah Hull over at Wolverines Wire, he is Black Gandhi on our board. He says, at Clayton Safey, who is your starting 5, and how does Michigan football's fall camp impact Dusty May and the Michigan team?
That's Isaiah's way of saying Clay is a basketball guy first, and he can't wait till basketball season. I can promise you that Clay is a football guy as much as basketball. But man, he was a Beeline disciple as well back in the day. So yeah. Anyway, go ahead, answer the question.
Well, yeah, Isaiah, it's a running thing. I mean, he
Well,
just
it's become a
makes fun of
running
me for
thing with
covering.
us too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
During these Monday shows in the summer, I
That's true.
started the thread on the site and said, "Oh yeah, we'll take it'll be in the middle of fall camp." And I'll say, yeah, we'll take basketball questions as well. And Clayton is incredulous when I do that.
As well. Yeah. I just thought this is an elite program. They deserve more than an as well. But also Isaiah makes fun of me for liking basketball, which, all right, if that's something to make fun of, I mean, sure, go ahead. I also love football, as you said, Chris. You know that.
Yep.
Elliot Cadeau, Namari Burnett, Roddy Gale, Yaxel Lendeborg, Merez Johnson. There you go.
And James, and James, I do want to say we 100% agree that Clay is fantastic. We are a team, so we you can put us down. Or
I'm the only one that nobody talks about in the chat, and I got to be honest, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, exactly. So, but we love Clay too, James. Maybe not as much as you, but we love him too.
All right, we're going to end on this one from Maisie Blue TX on our board. He says, when we look back at the end of this season, what will we be saying about Bryce Underwood?
Great question. That he had a really good year for a freshman, right? And that he improved every game and really played his best football at the end of the year is what you want to hear. And I think that'll be the case as long as the offensive line holds up. The one thing you don't want to hear is that this offensive line struggled the way that it did for a Devin Gardner, right? And kind of ruined his confidence to the point that he was getting hit 27 times a game up there at Michigan State. And I don't think that'll be the case. I think that you're going to see a kid who gets better throughout the year, as long as that offensive line holds up. And but he's got such confidence. I think it was Kasula today. It was either Kasula again or BJM who said, he's a calming presence at 17 years old. Just think how good he's going to be, guys, next year and in a couple years when he's got all these games behind him. I love this guy. I love this kid. I love the fact that he is for 17 years old. He is a complete team guy, and this is exactly what you need under center. He's going to be really good eventually.
I think one of the things we're going to be saying is he wasn't just good for a freshman. He was just good. And like you said, a lot has to go right around him, right? For any quarterback. That still remains to be seen. But I think he's going to lift this offense, his mobility, his playmaking ability, his big arm. There are just going to be some plays he can make that a lot of guys can't. And there will be some growing pains. But I think one of the things we're going to be saying after this year as well is that he could be one of the best quarterbacks in the country next season. And, potentially the best in the country. I think it could be a similar situation to the way people are talking about DJ Lagway at Florida last year. He was nowhere near the best quarterback in the country last season. But now when you look at these lists, I know Andy Staples has him number one coming into the year. I think Ari Wasserman has him number one. I think I saw a list, outside of On3 in the recent weeks that had him number one or two. So I think Underwood could be in a similar boat here. You just hope that their season goes a hell of a lot better than Florida's did last year, and he stays healthy coming into his sophomore year. But I'm expecting a lot. I'm really excited to watch him. I mean, this is one of the more intriguing openers in a long time because of number 19, who turns 18 tomorrow. So he'll no longer be able to say, "Oh, this is just a 17-year-old," which is no fun. It's kind of like Jason Tatum with the Celtics. It's like, "Oh my God, this guy's only 19." People were saying that for like 5 years as a joke. Maybe we'll continue to say it as a joke about Bryce, but he will be 18 tomorrow, so he will be a legal adult, which is crazy that he's not right now because of how gifted he is.
On Savion Hyder Day. So
that's right.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
And Otis.
Wow.
And I did want to say Otis is asking if we're going to be in Grand Blanc this weekend. We're going to be in Grand Rapids on Wednesday, and we are going to be at the Garage in Ada. Come out and join us, guys. Love to have you out there. Clayton has vowed to buy the first 1,000 people that show up a beer. So come on out.
I'll Venmo them. Yeah.
The beer of your choice. Yeah. So
5 p.m. though. 5 p.m. at the Ada Garage Bar.
5 p.m. at the Ada Garage.
I'm not buying 1,000 beers.
No,
and I was finally invited to the West Side, so I'll be there too. So
can't wait. Hopefully join us. Hopefully all you guys will join us, but I will be in Torch Lake for a birthday party on Saturday. Look for me on the sandbar.
Last thing, answering the Bryce question. Our friend Doug Karsh on 97.1 at the start of every major season, he and his co-host Scott Anderson will do what they call bold ass predictions. I have a bold ass Bryce Underwood prediction. He will break the passing touchdown record this year at Michigan. Record's still 25. I think he'll get to 26.
This
27.
year?
Won't break it by much this year. He'll get it this year.
Holy, that is a bold ass prediction. All right.
There, you heard it here
Like
first.
If Clayton Safety will buy you 1,000 beers.
Well, hopefully it's not the same kiss of death that Andrew Anthony and Donovan Edwards have been given over the years, but at least it's not a week-to-week prediction. So I think that's a good place to stop. Lance85 says there's over 300 people watching. Don't forget to smash that like button. Yes, Clayton Safety will buy you 1,000 beers if you smash that like button. Also subscribe to, and I'll buy you 1,000 beers.
Oh, I didn't realize it. But...
Mar, if you're over on the west side, Wyoming Park grad, man, come on over to the garage on Wednesday. We'll look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah, additional details of that are also on our message board, which if you want access to that, use that promo code UM1 for 2 months of access for only $1. Be sure to like the video, as we said, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks to our sponsors at Homefield tonight for their continued support. We're off the rails, and I'm ready for 1,000 beers myself. So for Chris Ballas, for Clayton Safety, our producer Megan behind the scenes, I'm Anthony Broom. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll talk to you again later this week.